Hello my quilting friends! Leah Day here with a new quilting design video. Today I'm stitching a design called Fanfare, and this starts with a big spiral, and I'm stitching it from the edges of my quilting space into the center. And I find it easiest just to go on ahead and mark the spiral on the quilt, so that way I like the shape and I know that it's going to turn out just exactly right. You know, stitching on the marked line always guarantees that it's going to look the way you want it to look. So I'm happy with that. So now the second step of the design is to do some bouncing. So we're going to bounce back and forth and do these kind of ripply shapes. And we're going to do this all the way down the spiral to work our way back out. So I'm going to stitch an arch shape first, and that's about kind of maybe half the size of a dime to give you a frame of reference as far as size. And then I'm just bouncing back and forth in order to finish that off. And you know, you could do 2 bounces, but it would end up, you would end up right here. And you know, you'd need to get all the way back down to the other side. So that's why I decided to just go ahead and do 3 bounces, forward, back, and forward. And that way you're always set up and working in the right direction, and you don't have to do any travel stitching. So I hope you can see just how fast this is, and I think it's gonna look really funky on your quilts. You could quilt this into any area. So let's say you had a block to fill, you know, mark the spiral on your block, stitch the spiral from the outside to the inside, and then you're just gonna do these bounces all the way back out again. Super, super simple. If you wanted to, you could also turn this into a border design. You would just stitch maybe a series of spirals or maybe a long wiggly line and do these bouncy shapes working all the way down. So there's a lot of ideas and many ways to play with it. I think this looks really good stitched into a block, just simply because I think it has a really nice texture and because it's so fast to stitch. Of course, I'm stitching this in something very small, but you could definitely expand it, make the spiral bigger, and of course make all of your bouncy echoes bigger too, and that would fill in the design really well. Now, one thing that I'm looking at as I'm filling outward is that center spot is just a little empty, and that might bug you. It's okay, I don't think it's like the end of the world, but if you wanted to fill in that spot, maybe with a spiral, that might be a good idea. So I'm gonna travel stitch my way back up and see if I can do that. Let's see. So this is just careful travel stitching, and now that I think about it, I probably would have done this at the very beginning of the design as I was stitching that spiral in. Instead of just ending right there, continue to spiral inside and just fill in that space completely. I think that's going to look much better. And then I'm just going to travel stitch my way all the way back out and back down to where I was working. So really simple, and isn't it fun to just throw a little bit more thread at it, add a little bit more texture, and of course make the design your own. Make it exactly the way you want it to look. So here's what it looks like whenever you finish Fanfare. So that's it for this video. If you'd like to find an entire book of designs to inspire you as you stitch, definitely check out my book, 365 Free Motion Quilting Designs, which has lots of inspiration for you to flip through and pick designs and try them out on your quilts. So check out the book at leahday.com, and until next time, let's go quilt.